everybody, and welcome to another fun and fact-filled edition of Community. My name is J.J. Wright. I'm your host this week, along with every week. Hope you got the opportunity to watch my Valentine's special last week. It took a lot of work to do, so I'd like to just show it off. I got a lot of great response from it. A lot of people liked it, and a few people didn't like it. So as long as I reach someone out there, my goal has been accomplished. This week we focus mainly on, well, I want to say mainly, but I want to focus the first part of the show on Black History Month. You may or may not know, but this month is Black History Month. And I haven't really touched this topic yet. I know it's the 22nd today, Monday, and it's the end of the month here. I want to apologize for not tackling this previously, but here we go. First, I want to start with an essay. It's not the most interesting thing to sit through in the world, but it gives a little bit of the insight on the history of oppression, slavery, and racism, and I'm speaking against blacks in America. My essay is called History of Oppression, Nationwide and Local Black History. Channel 9, and most public accesses in America for that matter, have always been champion for minority rights. You may have seen our recent specials on gay rights in the wake of Measure 9 controversy and our ongoing series on the developmentally disabled in Columbia County. But one topic we have not yet tackled here at CCTV is the issue of racism against African Americans. Indeed, it has a lengthy history, both in the whole country and in our state. We'll start with the country. America was founded on Thomas Jefferson's words that all men are created equal, and that we all deserved life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, yet at the same time would never survived economically if it weren't for the labors of the enslaved blacks. They had cleared forests, drained the swamps, and planted and harvested the crops, yet never received any fair treatment for their work. In fact, the whites saw it as moral to enslave the blacks. In the words of David B. Davis, to live in Virginia without slaves is morally impossible. And Patrick Henry, who coined the term "give me liberty or give me death," also spoke of the general inconvenience of living in Virginia without slaves. Though these early Americans saw the injustice they were doing against the blacks, slavery was so embedded in our culture that they always found justifications for the inequality. Jefferson himself argued that whites were violating the sacred rights of life and liberty in the persons of a distant people who never offended them. However, his antipathy towards the institution never took him to the point of freeing his own slaves. It is apparent that he regarded capital and slaves as more important than the revolutionary ideology. Early Americans also felt slavery did not violate the laws of nature because they believed blacks were inferior to the whites, and for the good of all, they should be kept in subordination. So the revolutionary dream of equality of all peoples was deferred by our founding fathers to some future generation who would be better able to deal with it. In the late 1800s, a new champion to the cause of civil rights appeared, Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln's quest for equality for blacks plunged America into a civil war, and though blacks were eventually emancipated, the popular sentiment in America was still that of inequality. Lincoln himself said, "There is a physical difference between the two races which will probably forever forbid their living together on a footing of perfect equality." These are not encouraging words coming from a man who has been regarded as one of the greatest advocates for civil rights. It was this kind of narrow-mindedness that existed in America and continued to exist largely in the South well into the mid-1900s. The black plight for racial equality seemed quite bleak until, ironically, a Southerner took the office of the President of the United States. Harry Truman, abhorred by stories of lynchings and beatings of blacks, spearheaded the creation of the Commission on Civil Rights, enacting an anti-lynching statute and a law punishing police brutality, making it easier for blacks to vote by banning poll taxes and outlawing discrimination in private businesses. He also ended discrimination in the armed forces and, most controversial, opposed segregation, in particular in the public schools. This was a big step for the times. However, racism still flourished, and tensions in the late 50s and 60s turned to violence. Centralized in the South, especially Alabama, these violent episodes resulted in the deaths of many Americans, black and white. A memorial in Birmingham commemorates the struggle. Now let me give you a little bit of the Oregon history. Racism and bigotry was not limited to the South. In fact, Oregon, when founded, was originally intended to be one of the last frontiers where there are no minorities allowed. Oregon was known as one of the northern states that would not accept slavery into its borders, but at the same time would not allow blacks to settle within its borders. Also, it was illegal for a black to own land in Oregon or marry a white person. In addition, Oregon created a poll tax in which African Americans already living in Oregon prior to the expulsion law had to pay $5 annually to live in Oregon. If blacks were living in Oregon longer than 3 years, they were subject to 39 lashes on the back. Obviously, things have changed. Today, many white Americans are ashamed and sorry for what their forefathers have done to the so-called inferior race. And no matter what one does or says, it cannot compensate for nearly 200 years of oppression. All we can do is treat each other with respect and hope others will act in kind. But does racism still exist? I went out on the street and I asked some of your fellow citizens what they think. So let's go out and see that.
In Portland, I don't see that much of it. I do go to Portland quite often.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you, in light of some of the, like Mulligata Sarah, one of the African Americans who was beat to death and stuff like that, do you hear about or see any of that?
No, I haven't been around anything like
Really?
that, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it exists in the high schools, you know, somewhat, but...
How about just in the sentiments of people that you know around here? Do you think there's racism?
Nothing like it used to be.
Nothing really?
I don't believe so.
What do you think changed that?
I don't know. Getting to know the black people, for one thing, I believe you have to be fair. Don't generalize them.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you know black people and Asians and?
Oh, yes, lots
Do
of
you?
them. Yeah.
Do you see any kind of racism at all in St. Helens or in Oregon or in the United States in general?
Yes.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
In what form?
Well, there's lots of things that African Americans still can't do and are prohibited from even trying to do.
By law?
No, just by...
Just general sentiment.
Just bigotism.
Bigotism? Do you see that here in this county?
I don't think so, not here, no.
Where do you think it's centralized?
I don't know. I suppose where there are the most African Americans.
Yeah.
We don't seem to have any here, so...
Why do you think that is? We don't see very many black people in this city.
Well, at one time, they wouldn't have been allowed to live here.
Really?
They were run out of town if they came here.
Do you think that still happens?
Well, no, I don't think so. Not now, no.
Okay.
But I know it did in the early days.
Yeah?
Yeah, if you saw a Negro, you just like, well, I guess he won't last long. I mean, they absolutely would not allow him to live in St. Helens.
Have you lived here for a while?
About 30 years.
Do you guys know that this month is Black History Month?
Yeah, I saw that on the McDonald's commercials.
You did?
Yeah, me too.
Did you guys study about it at all in school or anything?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet? Are you going to?
Yeah.
When?
Probably sometime this month.
Well, it's coming to the end of the month. It's 22nd today, so I was just wondering if there's anything involved in the schools that have to do with Black history or anything?
Not yet.
Yeah. Do you know at all what you're going to be talking about, studying anything?
No.
Do you know what racism is?
Yep.
What's racism?
It's where you isn't that like when you don't like somebody because they're a certain color?
Mm-hmm. Is that what you think too?
Yep.
Do you guys think there's any racism at all in America or in this county or this city?
Yeah.
America, yeah.
In America?
Yep.
Yeah.
What kind of things have you seen to give you that idea?
Like what happened with Rodney King.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Anything else? Not recently?
No, not recently.
How about around in St. Helens or in Columbia County? Do you ever witness or hear about anybody saying any racist remarks or anything?
No.
No?
No.
So you pretty much believe that this is a pretty non-racist community?
Yeah, but there's some people who are racist.
Are there?
Here, yeah.
Do they ever talk about it that much?
Not that I know of. Some people, they'll just see someone different color, something, they'll make a rude comment, something like that.
Do you have any minority Asians or blacks or Mexicans or people of Spanish descent in your schools?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you? And is there anything, does anything ever happen there?
No.
No. Well, that's good. It looks like the youth of America has decided to open their eyes and wisen up a little bit as far as race relations, huh?
Yeah.
Because in the past, it has been a lot different as far as someone different coming to the schools and stuff. Thanks a lot for your guys' time and your views.
Okay.
Appreciate it, guys. Do you think that racism exists now in America, and if so, in what form?
Oh, I think it does, but
That's pretty broad when I said America, but
yeah.
how about in this region or in this county, maybe in Portland? Do you see it, hear about it?
Oh, in some areas.
What kind of things have you heard? Do you think it's pretty widespread?
Well, I think it's all over the country.
Think so?
Yeah.
And
I'm not really that way, but I know a lot of people are.
how about in this area? Do you think there's a lot of people that are racist? Or that may be too harsh of a term, maybe just a little bias, a little prejudice.
Well, I live up Rainier, Oregon.
do you?
Uh-huh. So I don't know exactly what it's like in this town.
How about in Rainier? What's it like? Be honest.
I am.
Okay, so yeah, just a little reluctant.
I don't get in town that often, but I don't see a lot of it because I'm not there,
But it does go on.
I think it does.
But in the form of what? Just people talking about it, or just does it ever get that harsh?
Well, all I know is what I've heard. I don't really see much of it.
Well, there's not really that many black people around this area or Rainier to really be a lot of conflict, do you think?
No. I just know of one town that you don't see like Negroes living there, and that's in Reesport, Oregon.
Oh yeah?
Absolutely, you will not see one. If they are, they won't be there.
Really? And there's just some deep felt sentiment against it.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about it, but I've lived up in that, close to the area, like in Coos Bay, Oregon, and I know that Reesport absolutely will not have no Negroes live in that town.
Interesting. It says a little bit about the state of racial equality right now, I guess,
Yeah.
in 1993.
Yeah.
Thank you. It would also be beneficial for you as Oregon citizens to know how Oregon has progressed in the area of civil rights. In the 67th Oregon Legislative Assembly in the 1993 regular session, Senate Bill 128 has been introduced, and let me give you a summary of this bill. It will create an Oregon Human Rights Commission consisting of 11 members appointed by the governor. And what it will do is the Legislative Assembly finds that bigotry based on race, religion, color, gender, national origin, and sexual orientation creates barriers in the lives of many of the people of the state and diminishes the opportunity and quality of life for all Oregonians. The Legislative Assembly further finds that there is need for an Oregon Human Rights Commission for the purpose of identifying barriers that arise out of bigotry, establishing goals for the reduction and eventual elimination of those barriers, and making proposals for and programs to achieve goals. The Human Rights Commission shall, in coordination with the Oregon Progress Board, identify and develop benchmarks for the reduction of social, economic, and political barriers caused by bigotry in the state of Oregon. It just, compared to what I just talked about before the interviews, about Oregon being having an expulsion and exclusion act written in its very constitution saying that blacks cannot live here, and if they are here, they can't be here longer than 3 years, and if they are here longer than 3 years, they get lashings on the back. Well, that's the formation of this commission really shows you how Oregon has progressed in the area of civil rights. Let's keep going. Let's bring civil rights into the forefront of American thought. Everyone needs to be on the same basis, no matter what their race is, no matter what their gender is, no matter what their political, social, culture, ethnic affiliation, anything. We all are the same, no matter what people say. Genetically, people are all the same, no matter what the color of their skin. Well, on with the show. My next segment is four-wheeling Fandango. You may have seen some of my back streets, back roads segments on Community. This is Four-Wheeling Fandango, camera and music by John Burkett. He is a man that I met last week here at the open house at Channel 9, and he brought in a tape of a bunch of his friends and him four-wheeling out in the boonies of St. Helens and Scappoose and this county. So let's go ahead and watch that. It's a lot of fun. It's really neat. Thanks to John Burkett for that very, very interesting video. It looks like they had a lot of fun. It looks like it was kind of cold out there, too. I don't know if I'd really want to do that, especially in that guy's Jeep. Now it's time for my travel segment. Let me offer a little bit of inside hint next time you go to Cannon Beach here in Oregon. I don't know about the lunch, but breakfast is an opportune time to go to the Lazy Susan Cafe. Now, it's kind of hard to find. It's not on the beaten path. When you walk through the main strip there in Cannon Beach, you'll see all the different shops, the wonderful, wonderful antiques, wonderful glass shops and bookshops and whatnot. There's quite a few restaurants, and the person I went to Cannon Beach and we looked around for a good restaurant, and we really didn't know until we saw this little sign. It said Lazy Susan Cafe and an arrow pointing to kind of off the path. And we walked back through the shades a little bit and through the trees. We found this really neat little restaurant called Lazy Susan Cafe. They only serve breakfast and lunch. We went there for breakfast and I got an omelet. And it was a wonderful ham and cheese omelet. The food is delicious. The prices are very moderate. The one thing that really will bring me back, and what made me fall in love with this place and what will bring me back again and again, is the atmosphere. There's only 8 tables in the place, and if you like a small, quaint restaurant where the service is very friendly, the waitress didn't even have to write down what we ordered. She just came and took our order, and where they cook the food is only a few feet away from where we sat. Once again, the atmosphere is great, the food is great, the prices are moderate. I want to recommend the Lazy Susan Cafe in Cannon Beach, Oregon. The next time you go down there, go there for breakfast. Next, John Hutchison, the chairman of the board here, at Channel 9 spoke to Tony Federici, our state representative to the Oregon State Legislature. And this was last week at our open house, and they talked a little bit about Channel 9 and about other things having to do with the legislature. So let's go ahead and watch that interview with Tony Federici.
My name is John Hutchison. I'm hosting this evening. My guest this evening is Tony Federici, our representative to the Capitol in Salem. How's things in Salem, Tony?
Very well. I'm very surprised to be on television tonight. I didn't expect this. I just came by because Channel 9 was having an open house this evening, CCTV, and I just wanted to come by and congratulate them on their work. I've been long involved in the cable television scene here in St. Helens. I was the Cablevision Commissioner. That's before your time, John.
Exactly.
While I was on the City Council in St. Helens. And even before that, before I was even on the City Council, before 1980, we began with the Cablevision franchise for this area. So we were able to get this access channel adopted into the franchise many years ago. So we're very pleased to see it continuing, and we wish you good luck on it. And that's all I wanted to do tonight, was come by and wish you good luck at your open house. I didn't expect to get on live television.
Well, we wanted to give everyone a chance to see our newly elected representative, and I wanted to offer my personal congratulations to you, and
Thank you.
also the station's congratulations, and thank you for your long and hearty support, and your family's support as well. And basically just to take this opportunity to thank you for all of the good work you've done for us in the past, and hope we can continue this relationship long into the future.
Well, I don't know if there are any specific Cablevision bills in the legislature, in the legislative hopper this time around. I do know that there is one bill in regard to having cable television carry the legislative sessions. And there's a possibility of that getting into the committee hearings. So we'll see if how that goes. But I found Salem very interesting. Find my way around the Capitol quite well now. But I hadn't realized before that it would be such an enormously time-consuming job, and really all-consuming job.
Yes.
I'm there from 7 o'clock in the morning and very often till 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, continuously. And it almost seems like I'm at the other end of State Street, where the state penitentiary is, in your little cell there. I shouldn't regard the state capitol that way, I realize. But nonetheless, once you go in there, into the underground parking at 7 o'clock in the morning and don't get out of there until 6 o'clock at night, it really seems like a cell.
Yeah, well, what's the old saying, iron bars do not a prison make.
Well, I guess not. Or marble walls.
When you don't see the sun all day, it's hard to tell what you're there for. And one thing that you're too modest to point out, but I'd like to share with our viewers, is the fact that Tony spends the better part of 5 days in Salem, and only comes back here usually on weekends to see his family.
Well, I have to come back to the district on weekends just for a reality check.
Yeah.
And it's really important to me to be able to talk to people like you and the many other people that I have visited with each weekend when I come home on Saturdays and on Sundays, just to find out what people in my district are thinking and talking about. And people have not been shy about calling me, and please do, 378-8026. I should have the little number running across me. 378-8026. It's in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And feel free to call me if you have concerns, or if you have ideas, or if you have things that you want to talk about. My staff and I will be more than happy to discuss any issues with you. And people have not been shy about writing to me either. So I have gotten a lot of correspondence from people in the district, and that has been very gratifying, that people are keeping their eye on the legislature and on the Capitol, and are very concerned and involved in what legislators are doing, because this is, government is what you make it.
Precisely.
And if you don't let your feelings be known, why things can happen that you don't like. So we appreciate having phone calls, and we appreciate having letters from any individual in the district.
That's great. There's one other idea I'd like to discuss so our viewers can understand. Basically, I've talked to Tony in the past about this idea, and we're trying to put together a show that will feature Tony and the ability of his constituency, i.e. Southern Columbia County, and parts of Astoria district as well, to do a live call-in format, so that some of you who aren't able to reach him during the week, or to find a pen and pencil and a stamp and envelope, can call in and voice some of your concerns to him and get an answer on the air, or at least get the process started so that some of the questions can be answered for you. And we haven't put a date for this thing to start yet, but I feel that it will be soon, as soon as
That
Tony-
sounds very interesting, and it sounds like fun, John. I'd be more than happy to participate if we can work it out.
Great. Okay.
We'll see what we can work out on it.
Yeah, okay.
And I think the constituents would be well served by it, because they could talk to me directly, and we could
Exactly.
do that right on
Exactly.
television.
Yeah.
And that would be fine.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to talk about this evening, or anything?
No,
of,
usually if
particular import.
Usually if people call down to Salem, I'm usually in committee hearings from 8 o'clock in the morning until noon, but I usually am available in the afternoons to talk to constituents and to discuss any concerns.
All right. So if you want to talk to him directly when he's in the heat of the fray, as it were, downtown Salem, the afternoon is the best time to reach him in his office. And as I understand, he's very accessible down there, and he has a very competent staff to field any questions that he can answer himself if he's out of the office, and they're very good at referring questions and information to him. So feel free to call at your convenience.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fogg.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Mr. Federici, for that informative interview. It's always a great pleasure having you both here. I'm going to wrap the show up. I think that's about it. I want to thank everyone for watching. Let me disseminate some information before I let you go, and you can't go yet, so don't go anywhere. First of all, PCC is offering, they just announced their spring term for 1993 courses on Channel 9. Now, if you, for some reason, you can't get out of your house, but you still want to take college courses, here's the opportunity for you to do that on Channel 9. We are offering elementary algebra, first term, that is Math 60, and that's a very important class if you're working your way up in the algebra ranks, trying to get to Math 100 in the algebra ranks. Math 60 is a very good prep course for you. Another course is environmental science, and another course is Introduction to Business. Very good courses, environment, business, math, something that we all need to take. Programming begins the week of March 29th, so that's about a month away. Call 244-6111 for registration information, and they will get that to you. Once again, PCC telecourses on Channel 9. Another bit of information I want to get out is St. Frederick's Catholic Church is having a very good barbecued rib dinner Sunday, this Sunday, the 28th of February, from noon to 5 at Busini Hall. They're on 14th Street, I believe it's 14th, here in St. Helens, from noon to 5. The charge is $6 for senior citizens and children from 6 to 12 years of age, and $7 for adults. Children under 6, I guess, are free. So that's about all I have for the information. That's about all I have for community. For Channel 9, I'm JJ. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all the volunteers. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.